We're live.
We are live. Welcome back. I'm looking at you. I've got a monitor here. Second live stream ever. I'm sure you're going to be funneling in, over the next few minutes. But Cooper, where you at?
Oh. Here I am. That's a watch.
Yeah, we got all angles. We got overhead. Just checking the systems. We should turn that off. So yeah. All right, let's check the this cam. Hey, we got a fridge cam now, so we're upgrading. I think we have the GoPro situation figured out. So I just want to say up front that, these live streams, it was interesting to kind of see the comments roll in. These live streams, this is a different form of content than, of course, my normal edited videos. That's the point of this. I wanted to really just hang out. It's Friday, 2 p.m. Eastern, every single week. Create a show where we can kind of take it into the weekend, inspired to get in the kitchen and cook and just be free and have a good time. So this is not necessarily about, dedicated educational teaching of cooking, if that makes sense. This really is about having a good time together. I want you commenting in. I want you asking questions. Again, we will get to the point where you're potentially coming on the show through live call-ins and things like that. But you can potentially influence what I'm cooking. Like if you've got a thought on something, we're live. Things can shift up in the moment. And that's what this is about. We are cooking live. Anything can happen. And that's what, to me, cooking is all about. This is the realistic side of it. So today we are cooking basically a version of an Indian curry, kind of based off what you might have seen in the last video, which was all about Indian food on a budget. This is a curry that I make all the time, but it's highly customizable. And when you learn these techniques, your life will change forever, because if you can make a good curry and the base techniques, you can use anything that you have. And that's what we're going to be doing today. I straight up am just using what I have in the fridge. I need to go shopping tomorrow, which is the perfect time to just offload ingredients. And honestly, I was just pulling things out of my fridge this morning. Like, what am I going to make on the live stream? It's more about the conversation and us having a good time than it is like getting a precise recipe, which is actually going to be the topic of today. You saw the thumbnail. I'm going to grab a pot while we're chatting because I could be cooking while we are chatting. You saw the thumbnail. We will be talking about Ina Garten later, and something that she mentioned in a 60 Minutes video that completely blew my mind. Honestly, it was shocking because Ina Garten is someone that I don't know, at least as a millennial, I grew up on the Food Network. Big influence of the reason why I'm doing what I'm doing today, which is, some form of a cooking show. Now we're on the internet and not on the TV, but hey, it's a very similar idea. I'm on here cooking and putting it out for all of you. So Food Network was a huge influence for me, and all of these different characters, the Bobby Flays, the Emeralds, the Ina Gardens, the Guy Fieri's, all of these people, Tyler Florence, Jamie Oliver, really pivotal when I was starting to cook and get into the game, and just learning things, being inspired with, maybe a lot of you are inspired right now. We got a question?
We got some people showing love for Ina over here.
Love it. Yeah, so you'll be interested. I don't know, did you see the 60 Minutes interview? And if you did, was anything kind of shocking to you? That's what I am interested in. So right now I'm just chopping an onion, and I am creating the base of this curry. And it's all about building aromatic flavor when you're making a curry from scratch. And you don't just have, a curry paste. Say you're making a Thai curry. You're not just throwing in a curry paste into some coconut milk and thinking the game is done. we have to really build flavor, and that's what we're doing now. So flavor generally, when you're making a soup, a stew, a curry, it starts with the aromatics, and you cannot overlook this phase. This is where everything is building from. The way I look at cooking, and kind of the biggest change in my cooking over the last decade, has been learning about these layers, because at first you kind of just think if you throw a bunch of things in a pan, it's going to be fine. But we're layering flavor, we're layering texture, and it's all going to influence our final dish. So I'm just going to chop through these. Cooper, did you watch any Food Network growing up?
I loved Food Network. I was a chunky kid, and after school, I'd come home and I'd put on the Food Network.
Okay, so let me guess. Were you watching it to learn how to cook, or you watching like Guy Fieri?
Like, oh yeah, diners, drive-ins, and dives.
Okay.
Loved it.
Who was your favorite personalities?
Of course, Guy Fieri.
Okay.
Huge. I loved Emerald.
Okay.
Bam.
Emerald Live. Here we go. Here we go. Influenced kind of this show to a degree. I think he was like the only live cooking show. What did you like about Emerald?
I love the live element. I just like the studio audience.
Is that why you're here right now?
Of course.
Oh, it all makes sense. Yeah. You like the live. Yeah, that was pretty like. So Emerald was my brother's. Shout out, brother Josh. Maybe you're in. Are you in the? Is there something in my hair right now? It's just working in the garden. Josh, are you out there in the chat? Is Josh in the chat? I don't see the chat.
I haven't seen Josh.
Okay,
in the
you
chat
enjoy
yet.
life. If he's not, well, we're gonna have some words after this. But Josh loved Emerald. That was his guy. And a funny story. We were both on the wrestling team, and like you have to cut weight when you're wrestling. I'm gonna use actually some ghee here for the base. We've got some cultured ghee. You can use a neutral oil, but the point of ghee is that it has a high smoke point. So we can, you don't want to necessarily use butter in this situation unless you're cooking at a really low heat. So if you don't have ghee, then use, a neutral oil that can handle, or a mustard seed oil. That's huge in Indian cooking. Really anything's gonna work, but this ghee is gonna add a lot of flavor, and it can handle the cooking. So I just want it's like 2 tablespoons of it, a nice base. You never wanna saute aromatics without a good bit of oil, because then they're just not gonna caramelize, they're gonna burn, and it's just important. And that's why I like a ghee, because not only are you creating you're adding the fat that you need to cook these onions, but you are also adding a lot of flavor. Whereas with, say if I put a canola oil in there, I'm not gonna get too much flavor out of that. So double whammy, and that's always huge as we're building layers of flavor. So yeah, back to Josh. So when we were cutting weight as wrestlers in high school, Josh used to religiously watch Emerald live. And there was something, and this worked for me too, a lot of Food Network, when you couldn't eat, it's like you could kind of eat through the TV to some degree, and you would think like, oh, the last thing I want to see is food, but it helped. It's like imaginary eating to some degree, which, I just came home and Josh was always watching Emerald. You got a question in there I saw pop up?
Well, that was just what happened to your brother.
What?
That was the question. What happened to your brother?
What happened to Josh? So basically, Josh and I, for any of you who have been watching over 5 years, we had a channel called Brothers Green. I'm just going to salt these a little bit to pull out some moisture. And I'm actually going to start working on a ginger garlic paste. That's going to be the second layer of flavor. And I just realized I'm going to actually... I totally forgot. I need to make rice. So I can just, this is cooking. You forget things in the moment. You just have to adapt. So I'm just going to turn this down, because these are totally fine. Like, these can caramelize for 30 minutes if I want. You just have to adapt, shift the temperature now, because I'm going to be working on something else, which is this rice. And really, I just have some long grain somewhere. Give me a little pantry cam. I have, it says sushi rice on here, but I swear it is long grain rice. Oh, you can swip it. So I think I'm just going to dump all of this, but I do want to get a ratio. I'm using a rice cooker, which is going to be the easiest form of, that's like the true set it and forget it. And we just, shout out YouTube, we just filled up, if you give me an overhead, we just filled up about 3/4 of that cup. So that's the most important ratio. This is how easy rice making is. Okay, 3/4 of a cup. I'm gonna rinse it under some cold water. Boom, 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 boom. Just so if you can see this, we've got some starch coming off of it. There you go. And now we will pour out the starch. That's rinse 1. Generally, I rinse 3 times. Starch, starch, starch. Pour that off. And this can even go a little higher now because like it's barely cooking. I can handle a little more heat. And then we rinse, 1 more rinse. So now you can see it's already clear, more clear. And it doesn't need to be perfect. We're just trying to get some decent rice on the other side. And then I'll drain it like pretty good drain just with my hand there. And then I'll take that same cup and I will fill it up about the same height, maybe a little bit more. So a little bit over the 3/4, pop that in. And you know what? That felt like a little too much just because there was more residual in there. And set it. And where are we cooking? We set it for rice. Boom. Now we can get back to this. So what was I talking about? My brother? Yeah, so we were a duo for years and years and years for Brothers Green, if you've been watching, over 5 years. And great times, a lot of great content that you can still see on the channel. But just creatively, you know, at that time we were kind of growing apart, as they say. Which, you know, was tough at the time. It was tricky to figure all of these things out. But you know, that's life. You go through things, you grow, and at that time for us, it was growing into different paths of creativity. Josh is a musician. He's always been a musician, so he was following more of that road, still cooking. And that's when I started Pro Home Cooks and went on that journey, because for me, it was always about the cooking. I like music and I like playing, but it really, you know, the cooking was my main thing. But the cool thing is, many years later, Josh and I are working together again. So on the creative side, Josh and I still work together because I've found that, you know, my food philosophy, I think we just link up more than anyone else I've ever talked to or work on. We still kind of share such a similar philosophy on cooking, which is, you know, what I'm always trying to feed to you, I guess. And, you know, I think it's unique to some degree, this idea of being a pro home cook, really taking food seriously, cooking for your family, and also the cooking for yourself, and the style of cooking too, of what this show is all about. Being able to freestyle and just make things that aren't perfect. Like, okay, that's not perfect right there. Can you give me an overhead? We've got a nasty garlic clove. Let's move on. So what I'm going to do is I am going to smash this clove of garlic. And someone actually mentioned this in the last video. So I'm making a ginger garlic paste, and I think one of the top comments was about creating a like a single serving ginger garlic paste, because I was using a blender by using a microplane. So that's what I'm gonna do, just a single serving, just boom, right on the table. Yeah. And we're just gonna grate that up. Any questions?
Yeah, we got some curry specific questions here. I saw one. Here it is. Christine wants some help. Her husband loves curry, but she is allergic to coconut and chili peppers.
Okay.
Do you have any suggestions how to make those changes but keep it true to the curry.
Yeah, totally. So that relates big time to what's happening right now. So our onions are looking good. I'm gonna get that this is basically the same thing as a ginger garlic paste right here. Pretty fine. That's gonna be a ton of flavor. Again, building that aromatic flavor. And we want to cook that down. That's very important. You don't wanna just throw that in your broth or your stew and not think you have to deal with it. We have to cook that in the oil because I say this a lot. Oil is the biggest carrier for aromatic flavor, aromatic molecules. And by cooking it down in that oil, bringing out those flavors, caramelizing even the ginger and the garlic, that's gonna now be able to carry through our entire dish. So to answer your question, number one, you don't need any spice in a curry. There's plenty of curries without spice. We just think, at least over in the Western world, we get these curries, say from a Thai restaurant or something like that, and we just associate them with being like extremely spicy. And there are a lot of really spicy curries out there in Indian cuisine, Thai, every cuisine that makes curries. There's a lot of spice. It's just natural. But you can totally omit in that last challenge I did with Indian food, I didn't have any spice and it was totally fine. I just had garam masala, which are spices, but not like, spicy. So it was totally fine. And that was I'm actually not even gonna use any spice. Like I could throw some chili flakes in there, but again, I have been eating a lot less spicy food since I had kids because sometimes they'll eat our food and they're not big on spice at this point with their palates. So I barely add spice. I used to be such a, spicy cooking guy, and now I barely do. So that answers your first question of jalapeno. For the coconut milk, we'll talk about that when we get to that point. But first, I do want to grind up a little bit of spice. Just, the dried stuff, not the chili. So I have some coriander here. Boom, boom, boom. These are just some of my favorites. I have some cumin. When it comes to, again, an Indian, building out an Indian pantry, getting used to these spices, you can start really basic. Cumin, coriander, cardamom, fennel, like mustard seeds, really just basic stuff. I think people get very overwhelmed by curries and they think that they need to have 100 spices in it, or it's got to be, completely packed with all of this flavor. And there's other ways to build flavor like we're doing here. And you can still get the idea of a curry without it being, a spice overload. So what I'm doing here is just really taking 3 different dried spices. I have some cardamom pods here, and I'm just going to smash these up. You can keep them whole. The pod will actually thicken the curry overall, the exterior, and then I am going to just grind them up, just like that. And you can do a rough grind, or if you have a spice grinder, you can also use powdered spice, and just get that grinding. Comment in with what you're cooking this weekend. I want to hear what you have on the menu. Is it something that, I've made on the channel? Is it something you've been making for a while? I want to hear what all of you are cooking this weekend. All right, and then we're just going to dump that in and just toast that up with everything. So there's a
super chat alert.
Yeah. All right, what do we got?
Stephanie Logsden. Your videos have been a huge help. Thank you.
Stephanie, nice to see you. I appreciate that, Stephanie. Doing what I can over here. Trying to stay inspired myself. Hopefully, it can inspire you. So already just the flavor, not the flavor, but literally I'm getting flavor in my nose. You eat with your nose too. It's so important. And I can just smell as that spice toast. So you could totally you see tempering in Indian cuisine where you're cooking the spice directly in, say, some oil, and that's the first step, and maybe you take the spices out or you just keep going. In this case, we're getting the same, we're getting the same thing here because we are cooking those spices in this oil. They're just mixed in with everything right now. So there's so many different ways to use spices and techniques to cook with spices. And you see that with Indian cooking. It's incredible. And for me, it's like just learning these base techniques are just an absolute game changer because you can apply them to anything you're cooking. That's a big way that I cook, is just taking these techniques from different cuisines and just applying them to what I'm inspired by, to the ingredients that I have. And Indian cooking, I have learned so much by just watching different videos, watching different creators. It's just such an incredible cuisine for learning how to build a lot of flavor with not that much. Just specifically with the curry right here, you can take vegetables and make them taste so good. A third of India, which is a country of 1.4 billion people, a third or like 40% are vegetarian. So they have learned how to make vegetables taste good.
You ready to hear what everybody's having this weekend?
Yeah, let's hear.
We're gonna go rapid fire.
Okay.
Traditional lamb biryani, smoky
Okay.
tofu, poutine,
All right.
lentil pumpkin soup,
All right.
purple corn tortillas, peanut noodles, stromboli, saag paneer, but with feta. Somebody just made, Stephanie made the air fryer chicken wings of yours.
Love it.
Lots of soups, Instapot carnitas, calabacitas.
All right. Wow, really all over the board, and I love to see it. I heard a lot. I saw the saag paneer. There was a few Indian dishes in there.
Yeah, biryani.
But I love to. That's how I cook. It's all over the world map, and that's inspiring to hear. Like I heard maybe like 6 different cuisines in there.
Oh, we got a super chat.
Okay.
Super chat from Prelude of Me. Love your stuff. I'm making chipotle avocado bacon tacos. Ooh. Key is to put shredded cheese on the tortilla.
Chipotle avocado bacon tacos. I got to wrap my head around that. Sounds right up my alley. I'll say that. Sounds really good. Wait, chipotle, because I have a bunch of avocados. You might have just inspired me. Chipotle avocado. What was it? Chipotle
Bacon?
Bacon. Okay, that's the key ingredient. Can we get some more details on a little bit of a process there? Again, we're going into the weekend. This is just about providing a little bit of inspiration to take it in strong so you can really provide for yourself and whoever's around you. Whether you're just living on your own, you got a family of 8, I don't know, but we got to get in that kitchen and we got to cook, put food on the table. Okay, so we have this base. Now, this is what I'm talking about. That is layer 1. Just absolutely incredible. Let's get an overhead there. Boom, just so nice. It smells incredible. Now we are going in with layer 2, which are the liquids. And the first one, I can't believe I didn't show you this, but this was a can of tomatoes from my garden. Not my garden. We did get a little help from Connor. If you tuned into that episode, the pizza episode, Farmer Connor, we used some of his tomatoes and we canned them up. So I'm going in with some tomatoes right there. You can just use a regular can, and I'm just going to start cooking that down. You can use fresh tomatoes. In most curries that you see, Indian curries, if they're using tomatoes, it's generally not canned tomatoes. You see them just chopping up fresh tomatoes, but we're middle of winter. We're rocking winter here, which is why I am going for the canned stuff. That's the point of canning, to get a little bit of freshness from the garden when it's January. Right now, right before this, I was putting some compost on the beds, getting things ready, which is so exciting because I feel like I'm becoming a better gardener. Last year when I started my garden, it was, I wouldn't say disaster, but it was like 20% success rate. I had no idea what I was doing. Gardening on this scale, like there's an entire, you've seen it in videos, an entire garden out there. And there was so much failure. My soil absolutely sucked. And that's the biggest thing when you're gardening, if anyone's trying out there. You got to build that microbiology. There's a lot of similarities to cooking and learning how to cook. You got to build skills over time. And I had no confidence. And now, like being out there, like understanding compost, it starts clicking, which is exciting.
We've got 2 more super chats.
Okay.
Sangeetha S. I've been watching your videos for months now. My love for cooking has grown because of you and Ethan. Kudos to your hard work.
Ah, Ethan. Shout out Ethan. I'm sure he's busy making a video and not watching this, but that's awesome.
Also,
glad to have helped.
Jenny LJ with the super chat. Hello, thanks for the live stream. Enjoy the variety of recipes you upload. Take care.
Variety. That's what I see out there, and that you're all cooking this weekend is just a variety of deliciousness. You got to keep it exciting. And that's just how I cook in real life, is just whatever is inspiring. And that's why learning these base techniques of these different cuisines is the key, because you can utilize them whenever you want. Honestly, if there is a cooking graduation, a home cooking graduation, if there was some, home cooking school, it would be being able to, speaking of the devil, get a little fridge cam here. Going into the fridge, surveying the fridge and what we're doing right now is that, and just looking around at what you have and seeing how you, I forgot these mushrooms, but I'm still going to use them. And just figuring out how to put ingredients together that you have. Like this might look random, but my brain is starting to click together with ideas. Obviously for this one, I already had things planned, but generally I'm opening the fridge and being like, okay, bok choy, chickpeas, stock, what's going on here? Maybe a soup, maybe some noodles. So having said that, I don't even know what I was talking about, but it must have been. What was I talking about, Cooper? Doesn't even matter because
it's live. I don't know.
We're grabbing ingredients. So I have some chickpeas here that I cooked down. You know what? I sprouted some lentils. We'll use some of those. Boom, boom, boom. I'm going to get some of these mushrooms in there. And then to answer your question, I think it was Christine maybe. We can flip out of there. The best way to not use coconut milk is a stock. Like right now, you could add stock to this and you're still gonna get a delicious gravy, and just cook that down, throw some potatoes in there. That's really gonna bulk things up. Yeah, you still wanna build flavor. You could add water, it's not gonna be as tasty. So you don't need coconut milk, but I am gonna use some coconut milk right
here. We
got
the breakdown of those tacos.
Okay, give me the breakdown.
And with a super chat to boot.
Perfect. While I open this coconut.
Boom. So he's saying take shredded cheese, sprinkle on the tortilla, put it face down in a hot pan, let that brown, then remove, spread chipotle mayo, several slices or cubes of avocado, bacon, and cotija cheese on top.
Nice. I'm going to mark that and I will get back to it. My brain is, I'm not going to lie. I'm working on a lot of things right here. But it sounds delicious, and I have a bunch of avocados, so I'm looking for a little inspiration. I don't have bacon, but if you saw in that fridge, I was curing some guanciale, which is very exciting. I'll keep you updated on that project. So right now, tomatoes starting to reduce a bit. And we're just gonna mix this up. This is some coconut milk. All right, boom, 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 boom. and just get that in there.
Couple more super chats.
Yeah.
Mark with suggestion. How about you tell us the ingredients you're going to work with? We'll buy them and cook along, but don't tell us the dish until the end.
Okay, so Mark, I like where you're going with that. The problem is I don't know what I'm cooking. So right there, we've got some issues. But I mean, I can definitely update you after. I do like the idea of a cook along. It's just, again, it is tricky because I want these lives to really be a place where, one, I can just show up and start cooking. And like I would in my normal life, like, to be honest, this is what I am eating tonight with my family. Funny thing was, I was going to put chicken in this and I didn't even do it. So that's going in the fridge. I'll turn it into chicken nuggets for my daughter, but that's fine. We're eating vegetarian. I've got these mushrooms. It doesn't even need chicken, all right?
It's live.
It's live. So, Mark, I like where your head's at. I have tried that before. Again, it's just a little too much work to create a sustainable show around it. And for me, I really want to do this every week and create a space where I can just show up, probably cook my Friday night meal and we can hang out and have a good time. So I'll keep thinking on it. It is definitely up there, brewing around. And I just want to kind of get on here, do a few, see what the flow is, see what's possible, and go from there. So I'm just ripping up some of these oyster mushrooms. And I could have sauteed those in before, but I forgot, number one. And that's the most important, I forgot. But they'll be totally fine if you just rip them in right now. Mushrooms obviously are going to build flavor if you cook them down, but they also do really well if you just slow cook them in some liquid, like a boil right now. And these are, what are these, Hen of the Woods? I'll throw a few of those in there. So yeah, forgot the chicken, but I don't think I'm going to miss it at all with this beautiful mushroom action I'm adding. And then, do we have another, was there a super chat that I missed?
Now we have two more super chats.
I love it.
Up.
Thank you guys for all the super chats. I appreciate that.
Ginger saying, I appreciate your cooking and teaching style. I'm learning so much about how to use spices and make good tasting veggies.
Yeah, that's the key. Thank you, Ginger. It's you just learning some of these techniques. Again, it all comes back to that. If you have this arsenal, this tool belt of skills, then you can pull them out and start freestyling and just start making things from scratch, not needing a recipe, as you can see is what's happening here. So I'm gonna add a little bit of these lentils, sprouted lentils that I made in the last video that's coming out next week. So stay tuned for that. Very exciting. This thing's hissing at me, which is a good sign that we're cooking. Now right here, we have some chickpeas that have been soaked and cooked, basically like you would be getting them in a can. So the reason that you need to soak chickpeas, like if I just put in dried chickpeas right into there, they would be cooking for, why don't you get an overhead here? Because a lot is happening. The chickpeas would be cooking for hours, and we don't need to cook this down for hours unless there was a slow cooking meat in there. So you want to at least soak them, but even if you're just soaking them, it's going to take a long time. It could take 45 minutes, 50 minutes. And since nothing in here needs to cook for that long, that's why I'll pre-cook the chickpeas a little bit. So these right now in their form are they're tender. You can squeeze them in your hand like that. And I cooked them for about an hour in a pot. And they're delicious. Just having some cooked chickpeas in your fridge is so great to have around and so much better than a canned stuff. But canned stuff is fine. It's the same exact thing. This is just a little better flavor, a little more tender. It's not so mushy. And then I can just throw these in different dishes. So I'll pop those back in the fridge. And while I'm here, just think about if there's anything else I want to add. I'll bring this lime out, maybe this scallion. We'll see if that's good. This is the pork guanciale that's curing that I'm going to actually dry cure in the fridge. That's exciting stuff coming up soon. So let's taste this. I haven't tasted. I think there was a super chat.
There's a couple super
Okay.
chats.
What do we got?
We got Don's Empty Kitchen. Challenge my fellow chefs to the Anti-Chef Challenge.
Ooh.
Not sure what that is.
What does that even mean?
Don't know.
Don, we need
give us
thanks
more.
for the super chat. We need a little more info on that.
And then we also have Jackson here with a super chat. Hey, Mike, would love to see some more vegetarian stuff this year. Well, here it is.
Jackson, I mean, come on. It's your lucky day. So vegetarian for me, I'm an omnivore. I eat just everything, basically. Fish, meat, veggies, and I just balance. There's nothing I do not eat that's, somewhat standard in the culinary world. Dairy, gluten, it's all there. It's just for me figuring out how to balance everything. So veggies are a massive part of my diet. I do find that I can get like, whoa, too much meat, especially in the winter when things aren't fresh in the garden or in the markets as fresh. So I can get a little out of balance, and then it's like, all right, let me just try to make vegetarian food for this week or, this month or just this day or something like that. So I will keep that in mind. But again, I think just in general, it's going to naturally, a lot of people mention this in my videos that, even though these recipes aren't, say, vegetarian, they can find a lot of inspiration to turn them into I see that comment all the time, turning things vegetarian from what I'm cooking. It's not just like, this is a steak that I'm cooking. I'm not Max the meat guy. It is, anything can really be converted like this. I was gonna fry up a piece of chicken and then I forgot and now it's vegetarian. So easy conversion right there.
Very nice.
All right, so this is really brewing away. What I wanted to do was season this. And then I think we're getting closer. Was there any other general comments? Where's the salt?
We got some people asking about the thumbnail in the Ina Garten situation.
Okay.
Stay tuned.
I was just going to say, I think we can, now that this is cooking down, we're at a really good point. The only thing, this is what I'll say. The only thing, like, because we're cooking here. This has just got to brew down a little bit. Brew up a little cauldron of yumminess right here. But I would be open to making a chutney. Okay, I just seasoned that with a little bit of salt. Does it need, I could use a little bit of pepper. Do I have a pepper grinder? Yep. It's tasting good. It's got a pretty heavy tomato flavor, but then you have that creaminess from the milk, which really provides a silky, beautiful texture. And then I think what it will really need at the end is just a little bit of acidic with this lime. That will totally balance everything out. There's actually some good sweetness coming through from the tomatoes. You could always add, some honey or if it's a Thai curry like palm sugar, you can add a little bit of sweetness if you like things more sweet, sugar. But this is tasting really good with a little balance here. So if there's a chutney that you think I can make with pantry goods, I'm just going to go over here. If someone out there understands Indian food, is an expert at bringing chutneys to life, comment in, because I am open right now to making something from scratch. I was thinking I did not want to go to the grocery store. I really did not. Can we get a little extra stretch? I think that's going to be where we're at right here. So one thing I was thinking is like cashew chutney. I also have some almonds, but they're not soaked. I've got beef jerky. I've got, what are these? These are hemp seeds. That's oats. Let's see in here. Sprouts. I've got some broccoli rabe. I'm telling you, we're not really working with much. Carrots. I'm open to ideas right now. Here's my little sauce action. Maybe there's something there. There's tahini, spices, and then over here, we're going to break the fourth wall. Whoa. We're coming for you. what do we got over there? If you can see, just a few popcorn. That's not going to help. Tomatoes. I don't know if, is there coconut flakes? That would work. There's also coconut milk, but I don't have, like, I just made the, all right, we can get off this camera. I just made that cilantro chutney in the last video. That worked out great, but I don't have fresh herbs. I do have this, though. I do have ginger. Maybe we can just make something fresh. So keep an eye out. If anyone's coming up with some ideas. Beef jerky chutney. Yes. No. Actually, I mean, who knows? I'm not gonna rule anything out right now.
How about this one here? Yogurt, cilantro, green chilies, salt and pepper into the
yogurt. Blender. Did you see? I don't think I have yogurt in there, but that would be, if I had like a creamy, that could definitely work. If I had a creamy substance, show yourself. I just have mayo. That's not exciting. Nothing. All right, keep it in mind. Keep it in mind. All right. So let's get to, you know what I could do actually? That's good. That's very good. I could potentially make a chutney with some of this fresh stuff, ginger, garlic, scallion, and coconut milk even, and just make more of a fresh style chutney since everything's kind of cooked down in here. Just like looking for that one thing that's really gonna maybe even add some cashews in there. All right, we're gonna try it live. We're gonna run with it live. While we're doing that, we're going to talk about Garten. Garten. I don't know how you say. Did you say Ina?
I think Ina.
Garten. Okay, that's what I'm going with Cooper.
Pronunciation expert.
So it sounded like there was a lot of Garten fans out there. I'm going to find this. Oh yeah, I can use my little spice grinder. You can bring up that 60 Minutes interview and just pop it on the screen and just start running it. Because this thing was so inspiring. So my mom sent this to me, and it was really just 15. I mean, I guess it's 60 minutes total, but I saw like a 12-minute breakdown of her career and her life, and there's a lot of things that I just didn't know, and I think that's like, that's the first thing that's important is that you can just let it run in the background because it's inspiring to see. So I had no idea how her career went, number one, which was what I need to do is find an extension cord. I guess I can just do it back here. So she didn't do the Food Network till she was 50. She didn't get famous till she was 50, which is incredible. And I think that's why she popped off so hard, because she had so much experience and she was filled with so much knowledge and teaching that she was bringing in from a whole career of catering, which these are the things like you just see, the Garten, and you think like, okay, she was always doing this, but no, she had a whole other life. She was catering in the Hamptons and really like blowing up on in the Hampton scenes. Everyone wanted her catering at weddings, and just really, really interesting because that's something that I just thought she always was kind of doing, I don't know, teaching people how to cook or whatnot, but it wasn't until 50. So I found that, number one, very interesting. But there was something she said in this interview that really just shocked me, and it was the way that she cooks. And I would have never known this kind of growing up, watching her cooking. You can bring up that spot while I just kind of prepare this chutney and see what happens.
By making it all look effortless.
I know people don't believe this, but I'm really a nervous cook, and I'm sure every recipe is going to turn out wrong. So I'm incredibly precise.
Even now?
Even now. I'm there with a cookbook going, is it a half a teaspoon or a whole teaspoon?
Are you really?
I follow my own recipes exactly because I've spent so much time getting the balance of flavors and textures and everything right. I'm really not a confident cook.
I would think that you were like, swigging wine and tossing an herb.
Let's keep that image
going. That's what I would think too.
So this is my commute.
So that right there, she talks actually a little bit further down. Do we have that spot marked
Yeah,
about
I'll
Bobby
find that.
Flay? And I think that's like the last, sort of important thing I want to touch on.
Home cooks
Yeah.
from a home cook.
People like Bobby Flay have worked
Here we
in restaurant kitchens all his life, and he can just throw things together. I've watched him. He's such a brilliant cook.
Yeah.
I'm not that person. I didn't have that experience.
When you say you're testing and testing yourself at first, and how many times do you have to make something before you
I
get
mean,
it right?
sometimes 10 times, sometimes 25 times. Really? And then I'll print out a page and give it to one of my assistants and watch them make it. And
Interesting.
it so surprises me what people do. I was making lentil salad, warm French lentils, and she was putting in garlic in it. I said, "What are you doing?" And she said, "Well, it said cloves of garlic in it." And I was like, "No, it's cloves, not cloves of garlic." And I thought, I never
So you
would have
can
made
turn
that
it down.
mistake. But
By the way, to this chutney that I'm making, we just have green onion in there, garlic, ginger. I'm gonna add some of this lime. You know what this is gonna do? Rather than adding citrus or the acidic element right to this, I am gonna add a little bit of water. Watch this technique, shown overhead of here. See, I've got extra spice going on in there. So a lot of times in Indian cuisine, like I mentioned, they're gonna be adding spices at different points. So they'll temper the spice, then they'll dump in the fresh spice on top. So I needed a little bit of water, and this is kind of genius. Double whammy. I'm also going to get that fresh spice in there that was ground up. So we're kind of hitting it on 2 layers of spice, just a little fresh on top. And you're now hitting it with, different types of spice to some degree. It's going to be completely different. Actually, Ethan was over here doing a spice test with a collaboration we did. When you cook off spice versus when you put it in fresh, completely different final products. So in this case, we're doing both. So instead of actually doing just squeezing in some lime, I'm going to make this fresh, really bright chutney. This is not traditional. I would say it's just the idea of a chutney of adding, a pop of flavor that then I can sprinkle on the rice. I can sprinkle on the curry. So that's what's going on here. So I did figure it out. I don't know if there were any comments in there of like advice or thoughts on anything come in on the chutney.
We've got a lot of chutney, different ideas, a lot of questions. Chimichurri chutney versus, I'm seeing a lot of wild stuff. Peanut butter, lemon juice, shallot, coriander, cayenne, olive oil, sesame
Love
seeds.
it. I love the creativity. What I am going to do is throw a little bit of cashew in there. And I think just, these aren't soaked. That would probably help. But I think that should work fine. This is looking up. And then finally, I will add the coconut milk. This is all coming together pretty nicely.
We got a couple more super chats.
Yeah, I will get back to the Anna Garden and my thoughts on that.
We got Bobby with, I used to get cooking paralysis and very nervous cooking food, but your channel helped me overcome that quite a lot. Cooking
awesome.
isn't quite as scary as it used to be once you understand the fundamentals.
Wow, cooking paralysis. I've never heard that term. That's really interesting. Oh, wow. Things got darker in here. It just it went to night.
The storm a coming.
Yeah. Oh, is that what's happening?
I don't know.
We got the clouds rolling in. So I just added coconut milk in there and then finally a little bit of salt. Any other super chats while I'm grinding this up?
Yep. Skylar Costa with maybe it exists, but I would love a show that had weekly shopping with cooking for the week for 4. Not meal prep style, but daily cook and leftovers.
Daily cook and leftovers. Got it. Skylar, there's some degree, I'm trying to create that with this show. But I appreciate that because that's a great idea. So I am just grinding that up. If you just get an overhead right there, we've got all of those aromatics in there, coconut milk, and those cashews. And then this is just a little spice grinder that I featured on the last video. And we are going to, where's the cap to that? Cap, there it is. We're just gonna grind that up and see what happens. Let's say, oh wow. Looks good. It's intense. Very intense. You know what it needs? It needs a little bit, it's super intense. I think it could use a little bit of sweetness. Do I have some honey? I don't know if I have, where are you? I have a little maple syrup that could work. I thought I had honey. Oh, there you are. No, that's like pretty much out. I'm just gonna add a little bit of GoPro. Oh yeah, missed that. Oh, we're like almost out of maple syrup too. Come on, come on. So while I do this, so I was shocked to hear that Ina Garten cooks with only recipes. Like you would think, okay, she's hosting a cooking show for many years, building this cookbook empire. But she said she's nervous in the kitchen. And I had to like think about that. It like almost didn't make sense to me because my cooking is the exact opposite. I think it's that idea of like cooking paralysis to some degree. And not that she's on that level, but I really thought she was, like I just thought everyone cooked like that, especially if you have a TV show that you're just kind of doing things, making it happen in the moment. But she is precise. She follows her own recipes. And to me, that just was like, it almost didn't make sense. Again, that's just so foreign to the way I cook. But that is a way to go about it. It's just a totally different style of cooking. I would love to hear any of you out there if that's if that's the way you cook. Is that a style you cook? Is that a way you used to cook where you only follow recipes and everything has to be perfect? For me, that is I don't think I have followed an actual recipe. Maybe like when I'm baking, a muffin and I'm getting some inspiration, but to bring food together, to use leftovers that I'm using, you can't cook like that. Recipes are great for inspiration, but if you want to use up what you have, it's never going to perfectly match because this recipe and this recipe is going to create leftovers. And what do you do with those leftovers? So I'm wondering, like, does she just, if the ingredient doesn't work for a recipe, does she just throw it out? Like, does she not use, some people don't like some people are scared of leftovers. And I think it's because they don't know what to do with it, which is crazy. So I would love to hear if there's any comments coming in on that. But that really shocked me. Watching Ina for so long, I was not expecting that.
Seen a mixed bag.
Yeah.
Mix of people only relying on recipes and also just kind of winging it. It's kind of split. Rarely follow recipes, used to. And we also have a couple more super chats.
Okay, bring in the super chats. We'll get
Super
those.
chats. Sean's Gardening
Answered.
World is back.
Sean's
one of our biggest fans, I'd say. Hello, guys. Been busy sowing crops all day in the kitchen garden.
Yeah.
Now need feeding. Loving these lives. Loving you, Sean.
Yeah. Oh. Sean, for me, I was out in the garden right before this. I'm just like finishing this up right now. Everything's coming together. And really, we can sample this. I have 7 minutes left on that, but it could probably be done quicker. So a great time to just chat food. Everything's under control.
Another super chat here. I'm not going to try to say the name, but thank you very much. Saying to top it with kasuri methi.
I don't know what that is. Is that some type of spice? Probably.
Let us know.
Yeah, please let us know. And by the way, there were some members that came in last time. If you want to join the membership, Pro Home Cooks, it's $2.99 a month. Supports this chat, supports this show, really. The more members, the more this live show is going to grow, the more we can build out. Cooper, I mean, he's doing everything over there. The guy, yeah, it's a lot. And we're trying to grow the team. Also, I'm still looking for the next member to sit over there. You got to be local. I live in central Long Island area, local to here, because you just got to be close. But a lot of people have been chiming in with interest. So if you're out there and you want to join the show, you want to help out with the show, there's a lot of different potential jobs.
Let's see, some questions going.
Yeah.
What is your favorite style of curry? And it says that curry. I'm going to say it's Thai curry.
I mean, I love Thai curries. I love Indian curries. Those are the two that I know the best, but there's so much variety when it comes to curries, millions of different styles. So yeah, again, I'm just kind of like learning the techniques and then just kind of building them out with what I have. So learning the techniques of a Thai curry. If you go to Make Bistro, if you want to learn curry techniques on Instagram, my friend Derek, I've learned a lot from that man. What was I going to say? I think was there anything else on the Ina Garten? I do have a story that's great. I'll kind of cap off with that because we're pretty much done here. I'll sample it.
We got two new members.
Yeah, love it.
Poop has become a member.
Poop has become a member. Okay.
And Prelude of Me. Thank you, guys.
All right, look at this rice. I pulled it 5 minutes early. Give me an overhead. Cooper, give me the overhead. Right there, looking very good. It's as simple as that. Fluff it up, and this is looking great. I mean, this is dinner, which is so exciting. I'm gonna cut that. We're gonna sample this. We're gonna try this chutney. I'm not gonna say it's gonna work, but we are gonna sample it. All right, let's do full overhead for this plating. Boom, boom, boom. We'll get some rice in there the way I like to serve it. And if there's any questions, just bring them in because now's the time.
So
we're done learning how to cook.
Looks like I've been doing an amazing job. Thank you, Sangeetha.
Oh, thank you. Thank you. Yeah, well, great work, Cooper.
We had a question earlier about what happened to your other studio, I guess the Brooklyn space.
So I moved out to, I need like a big spoon here that I just can't seem to find without holes in it. I guess I'm gonna have to use a small, you know what I'll use? I'll use a measuring cup, that will work. So the other studio was something I built out. If you've watched it like 3 years ago, the show was taking place there. And basically I thought I was gonna be in Brooklyn for longer. But I had a baby and COVID happened and I moved out, which is why I got this place, the new studio. And now that is being rented out, actually, the studio. So it's still in some form, but I don't film there right now. So it was like sad. It was hard for a while. But I got over it because I have a garden here, which is fantastic. But I put a lot of love into that place, and I love filming there. And it was a big part of the Pro Home Cook's journey, but it is no more. That's life, Sometimes you just, honestly, it was just so fun to build it. It like changed my life to be building again and crafting something from scratch. And no regrets there, even though I was only in that studio for 3 years. It was so fun to just build it out. So not the coconut milk here. I'm like gonna put the coconut milk on. Again, it's kind of like creamy on creamy a little bit, which is why I don't love it, but we can add that to the rice. Boom, boom, boom. Looking good. Give me an overhead. And then I think that's gonna do it. I like want some green so bad. All right, so I'm gonna end with a little Ina Garten story and try this. So, okay. Just that, I will say this. It's a nice acidic element, that little chutney. Works as a chutney. With these two together, it's a little too creamy on creamy, but just that on the rice is incredible. I think I would want something just a little more fresh, like a cilantro style chutney, but this is so good. So I'm walking in the city, and this is New York City, Manhattan, and it is the grand opening of Italy. That was Mario Batali's, another Food Network star, who's run into some troubles. Mm-hmm. But at the time he was opening Italy, big grand opening. I think I was there on like the second day. And I'm walking, and I'm really into Food Network at this point. And I stroll up and I see like, I can't find the main entrance. It's very confusing there. Like, where is, there's like 10 entrances and I'm on the side and I'm like, where's the entrance? And I see Ina Garden right there, Ina Garden. And I'm like shocked at first, but she's just as confused as me. She's like, where, what's going on here? And so I approached her and I'm like, oh yeah, I'm confused as well. Just kind of acted, tried to act casual at the time. And we end up walking around the corner together and we find the entrance. So we're now like a team to some degree. We're a team to find this entrance. We get to the main entrance. We walk in and probably every woman in their 30s to 60s, and there's a lot of people in the grand entrance of this place. We walk in and I'm like right next to her and every woman there just turns their head and was like, holy shit. Just the shock. They were so like, this woman, Ina Garden, meant so much. And it was, I'm just a bystander sitting next to her. And it was incredible to see, like, you could just sense the amount of inspiration she had in all of these people's lives, because this happens to me when I'm in like a food place, like a market, it's kind of home field advantage. You get spotted. And this was the ultimate home field advantage for another Food Network stars market. So there were a lot of fans. So, for me, she was never, I liked her show. I wasn't necessarily learning that much and getting super inspired by what she was making. Like, I don't remember doing her recipes. And I think part of that is, I was trying to analyze this. I think a big part of that is the way she cooked, which is, so recipe driven. But I think a lot of people, for me, it was just such a nice show to watch. It was very calming. You felt like she was in the kitchen with you, just hanging out, kind of hopefully what I'm trying to do right here. And so she was a great inspiration, but it was just shocking to hear that she only cooks with recipes. And
we had a couple questions about who
we'll end with a few questions.
Your favorite Food Network star is.
So for me, I grew up, like when I was really getting into cooking, I was watching a lot of Tyler Florence at the time. Loved his recipes and his style, sort of like, restaurant cook, doing high-end stuff, but knowing how to convert that very well to the home base, to the home kitchen. Jamie Oliver, just like his Garden series, Jamie at Home, one of my favorite shows ever, when he's just pulling shit from his garden, just incredible. Who else? Emerald. Little Bobby Flay, not totally my favorite, but a little bit of Bobby Flay. I watched some Guy Fieri, not to learn, like, once you kind of learn his like Chipotle mayo, like, you kind of nailed it all. That's a joke, kind of true. And yeah, that's it.
Nice. Let's do catch up on Super Chats here.
Okay, and then we're gonna end it. What's our timing right now?
We're at an hour.
Wow.
Hour and 3.
Look at that. Okay.
So we got 2 new members here.
Okay.
Luke Shippers and CJ Kings. Thank you guys. We have an explanation on the Kasuri Methi.
Okay.
I'm going to add
Do you
that
have
in.
that? Yeah. Bring that in.
Bring that in there.
Oh, I thought you meant Kosori, the air fryer brand. That's funny. Okay. Fenugreek leaves with a curry finisher is a staple. Just fenugreek leaves. Interesting. Okay, unless I read that wrong. What else we got? Thank you for that.
Super chat from Don. He's looking, I think he means he's new to YouTube, starting out, and he's thinking about investing in an indoor garden.
Okay.
What do you think?
Empty, I'm new. Oh, yeah. I mean, listen, whatever you got to do. When I didn't have an actual garden space for many years, I had a big rooftop garden when I was in Williamsburg. That was great. So if you have any roof space in the city, and then for like 7 years, I had very little space, but even indoor plants I was growing, as you can see, that's how I got into indoor plants. Just anything to grow food. Even if you're making sprouts, like anything growing is going to do something, is going to connect you a little bit to fresher ingredients and to the process of of growing food. So totally an aero garden, whatever it is, just do what you got to do.
We got a couple questions about Chopped and what you think about Chopped.
Okay. What do we got?
Curious how you feel about Chopped.
That's going to be maybe a whole nother,
Yeah.
I think that's a whole nother subject.
Yeah, I feel like Chopped is right up your road. Do you like Chopped?
So I was on Chopped. So you know what? I think that's a whole nother episode on like how I feel about Chopped and cooking competition shows. But I will say I don't watch them, but I used to. And that's why, I used to watch Chopped and I wanted to be on, I felt like I had to go on that show. So I tried hard to get on the show and I got on and it was a crazy experience. And I think after that, it was just like, okay, that was the last time I ever watched a cooking competition show. But yeah, thank you for bringing that up. A whole nother episode potentially. What else do we have? Anything else? I mean, we can let's just end it. We're at
Wrap
an hour.
it up.
It's a sweet spot. So play some music, Cooper. Thanks for tuning in again. Remember, you can sign up for the membership if you want the badge and you want to just get top comment action. Check out prohomecooks.com if you want any of these products in the kitchen. We really curate a nice collection of products. Everything that I use, everything that's tested and approved, all at prohomecooks.com. That supports the channel as well. Thank you for all of the super chats. Every Friday, 2 p.m., we're here holding down, sending you into the weekend with a little bit of inspiration. The reason I didn't eat this is because I'm taking this home to eat with my family. Have a great weekend. New video coming out next week, and we'll talk soon.
See ya.